How do I become a genius? How do I become smarter? How do I think better? I think these questions have been popping to my mind a lot recently. But really, my whole life, I really thought about this. To quickly answer my own questions, you don't even have to watch the rest of the video. I think a genius is someone that could integrate many different things in a way that's seamless and beautiful. I think a huge part of it is also moving towards things that you're scared of, failing, getting rejected, but still integrating that in a way that's stylistic. I think about it in context of movement. So someone like Kyrie Irving or Messi, when they're dribbling the ball, it's not like their moves are without flaw. They're constantly messing up. There's a lot of failures in between each move, but they somehow adapt, continue to evolve in a way that's really perfect magical storm. They find stillness in random pockets, they find aggression in random pockets, but the whole thing feels like a beautiful thing to watch. They're creating a storm and they are the storm. To me, this is part of being a genius. There's also the genius of someone like a child prodigy chess star, Josh Hornowitz. I saw him in some podcasts recently. He was born with this innate ability to lock in for chess. But unlike other child prodigies, he was able to avoid the pitfall of just becoming a chess star and nothing else in his adulthood. A lot of prodigies and child stars tend to have a really bad adult life for some reason. And this was true despite the fact that grown adults were constantly attacking him. He was under constant media supervision. Somehow he still avoided that pitfall and transitioned into another type of career. There's also the genius of someone like Sean Liu, who's one of my favorite dancers, who is also a child prodigy in his own right, but he's constantly found a way to evolve, expand, and conquer new things, whether it's different styles of dance, cooking, acting, and just creating really cool stuff. To me, all these examples, Messi, Josh, Kyrie, Sean, they have an ability to focus, adapt in the moment, love their craft, but continuously fearlessly do other things as well without clinging to their identity. I think in a weird way, they all fall with style and create magic. Years ago, I took a BJJ class in my campus when I was like a sophomore or something. Back then, I was 18 or something, and I didn't really know how to move my body very well, but I was very curious how I would do. After doing the warm-ups and doing some of the basic positions, we finally got into rolling. Most beginners were paired with like a blue belt and above. There was also always a newbie watching on the side. This made sure that the newbies didn't get hurt and that the blue belts also didn't get hurt. Despite being very skinny, I was pretty damn strong, and I was able to hold my own and not get choked for a while. And people were impressed, but I felt like I wasn't really getting what I wanted. And I know I didn't move the way I wanted to. Despite my very quick learning, I don't think I possessed what I would call a genius in that. I remember hearing a story from Jocko Willink, a Navy SEAL, about some random skinny guy in his gym who was simply lacking completely physically. He had nothing at all, apparently. Like no flexibility, no like strength or whatever, right? He had a way of being cerebral and figuring out weird angles and holes that got him a lot of wins. We were both skinny, yes, but he was strategic and cerebral. I was just tough. Those, I think, are different qualities. And this is what I wanted to get into next. I think toughness is sometimes the enemy of genius. It's one of those things that's like very easy to fake for me. Just like the idea of hard work. What exactly does work even really mean here? It's like I make myself numb and repeatedly do things that are supposedly hard and just stick out things no matter what. I've been told I'm really hardworking and tough and resilient, and something about that has always rubbed me the wrong way. I think what's harder to fake is adaptability and strategic thinking. Those are things you could see in people on a moment-to-moment basis. And adaptability is a way of being where you could foresee and kind of solve problems before they happen. And when they do happen, you can still solve them. So this is why I believe toughness is a problem in many ways. I don't necessarily think toughness and genius are mutually exclusive. It's just not the same. But in reality, I think being able to see clearly to me is a lot more harder than hard work. What looks like hard work. A couple of my dance teammates pick up choreo so fast. You could see a routine and immediately learn in like 3 seconds. Meanwhile, me, I felt like I always had to grind for it. I always had to repeat it over and over and over again. But maybe I'm just going about it the wrong way. And I used to think that genetics and maybe my upbringing has something to do with that. And to an extent, it probably does, but also not really. Sure, in the extremes, everyone has qualities that are genetically gifted at something. And in the extremes, it always matters more. But I truly believe that people are more similar than different. And I think this ability to learn fast is something that could be totally learned. And in the case of freakish ability, like photographic memories, it always comes with a freakish downfall as well. For example, I've heard that people with photographic memories actually have a really difficult time forgetting mistakes and trauma. When it comes down to it, friends that I had that are cerebral use toughness as a last resort and not as a primary means. They slow down and work through things in a way that's like mindful rather than repeating the same thing 90 times like I do. And I think I've convinced myself that that's what I have to do. I have to repeat things over and over to understand it. But it's probably not true. So I would like to stop being a head ass, a tough person, and I want to think and strategize clearly. I think there's a genius to making tea. Each specific act can be an act of love, focus, and craft. I felt like I've had so much problems with mastering dance and learning choreo or movement. I've made so many errors in my habits for learning new things, whether it's cooking or writing or learning to play an instrument. I've been wanting to figure out how to learn Chinese for like 15 years now. I wanted to draw more. I wanted to start chefing it up for my friends more. I wanted to read harder books. I wanted to upload more videos. I wanted to get a girlfriend. I wanted to love better. Yet here I am drowning in my ambitions. Is there a genius to that? Once in a while, I will make matcha.
I'm a matcha now, man. I like this shit. It's cooler, it's smoother, it's matcha.
I take time to make sure I boil the water for the right amount of time. I take time to make sure I put the right amount of cardamom. I take time to make sure I put spices correctly. I mix it in a stirring pot and let it stir for 3 to 4 minutes. On a clean cup, I'll put some matcha. I put room temperature water and I'll whisk it 30 times. And then whisk it 30 times the other way and then shake it 20 more times. Pour the rest of the boiled water and I whisk it more till it's kind of foamy. I sip, I breathe, and I take in the warmth of the tea in my lips. I could feel taste of it entering my body. I drink this every day. While I do this every day, I only remember this process maybe once a month, even though I do this every single day. Sometimes I even offer it to others. And when I do this, I feel like a genius. There are things that I'm not naturally good at, and there are things that I'm not naturally motivated to do, and there are things that I'm genuinely scared to do. Something that I'm truly bad at is those small paperwork stuff. Whether it's doing things like taxes, lease signing, admin stuff, car stuff, the things that involve paperwork, I am so bad at doing. I feel a tremendous amount of psychological resistance to doing. My dad, on the other hand, is very good at that kind of stuff. I bring it up because maybe that's actually what's holding me back. Learning to love that part, this is kind of what it means to make tea, in my opinion. The smallness of the moment and the act is really not that small. It's part of caring for the process. How I do any small things is how I do everything. And I think learning to integrate those small things and the big things together is the ultimate definition of a genius. Sometimes in the morning when I'm fully fasted, I have removed the excess from my mind, I haven't consumed any media, and I basically haven't let too many sensory things hit my head. I could feel my productivity rising, I could feel that deep sense of concentration and focus. It feels really good. And as the minutes and hours creep by, I could feel my mind's edge creeping up. Like everything around me kind of screams to give in. But in those moments, my mind starts to ask really important questions. Like, what should I be asking myself? Is the edge of my mind real? Where is the I that's locating this stuff? What exactly am I pushing against right now? Why am I resisting? In those moments, I realize that the right questions solve everything. To me, that is how we start to integrate different things together, is by asking the right questions. And the right questions are only asked when we're aware. Remember, I'm not saying to do what I'm doing. I'm not saying you have to fast and work out and do nothing for 4 hours in the morning to figure out what you want to do. Those are just prescriptive routines. What I'm saying is that you have to figure out a way to be aware and ask the right questions for you. I think for me, what it means is finding my own weaknesses and moving towards it. Finding what things are that are frustrating but interesting and unraveling it. Bit by bit, the more I do that, a genius starts to creep up. You could kind of see the waves of emotions and tension and pressure ebbing in and out. Moments of peace and waves of deep sereneness combined with rage and fire and deep, deep sadness sometimes. Being able to ask the right questions kind of integrates all of that into a seamless experience. That's where I feel the most genius.